Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The June 1st, 2023 regular meeting of the Board of Education is called to order. Roll call, please.
Student Member Torres is not with us tonight. Member Nguyen? Here. Member Plancarte is not here. Member Jones?
Here.
Member Hill?
Here.
President Thomas?
Here.
Thank you.
Is there any comment on closed session items?
There was none.
Thank you. So next we will be recessing to closed session where we will discuss public employee discipline, dismissal, and release, a conference with labor negotiators, employee organizations, NTA and CSEA, conference with labor negotiators, employee group, contracted management, district negotiator, superintendent, position assistant superintendent for educational services, and conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation. Thank you. There she is. There she is. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the June 1st regular meeting of the Board of Education. We have just returned from closed session. No actions were taken. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next up is approval of the agenda. Is there anyone that wants to see a modification to the agenda? Yes, Member Nguyen.
Thank you, President Thomas. I would like to pull item 16.8, minutes for May 18th. One missed, there's an item that's missed that was voted on.
Okay, thank you. Will remind me if I miss it when we.
Okay, we would like
pulling
to
it.
pull with the modification. We are not doing item 16.8.
Right, thank you.
So I'd like to move to approve the agenda without 16.8, please.
Okay. Member Nguyen moves.
I will second.
Member Jones seconds. Please vote.
Votes are in, 5 ayes.
Thank you. Next, employee organizations. NTA, would you like to speak?
Yes, Ms. Villa?
Ms. Villa, welcome.
Have a little bit of a different introduction starting from today. Normally, well, we just had our NTA elections, and starting next year, I will be NTA president. So good evening. My name is Sherry Villa, and I'm president of NTA. So we don't, not new members on the e-board, we just kind of shuffled around a bit. So myself, being president, Julius Chapman is our vice president, Sean Abruzzi, our treasurer, Stephanie Schubert is our director of special ed, and we're still working out our secondary directors. But as far as moving forward, I'm excited to do the work.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's my opinion, that there's a gold mine of teachers that we have here. Years, hundreds of years, if you add it up, of experience. Even the new teachers. My coworkers at my site, they teach me new things every day, and it's their first, second year. So again, a gold mine, a wealth of information that we have in our teachers. So, maybe going in a new direction and tapping into those teachers. Investing in our teachers. And let's do something different. But, okay, that was the first one. Next one, I would like to recognize a list of teachers, NTA members, for receiving SARA awards, which are Special Education Recognition Awards. We have preschool, TK, elementary, middle school, high school, and alternative education teachers. Lena Yep, Tatiana Campos, Michelle Appelt, Mike Sung, Sean Fuller, Nikisha Lopes, Flavin Toscano, Julius Chapman, Justin Sterrett, Jasmine Barbosa, Audrey Trotter, Stephanie Schubert, and Shelley Nagel. So recognition to them for receiving those awards. And then the last one, can I give you this, Jody? All right, I just would like, NTA is asking for some clarification in regards to the budget that's attached to the agenda tonight, more specifically page 63. And that would be in regards to our negotiation agreement regarding compensation. That's towards the bottom, but towards the top. If I didn't get a chance to write on yours, the numbers for our FTEs for the years that are listed for the 22-23 school year, which was this year, our FTE count of 282.9. That was coming after a reduction of 31 FTEs from the prior year. So we already, starting this year, we were down 31 FTEs. Okay, now in our budget, it's saying we're going to be down another 13. So 44 teachers in 2 years, or 44 FTEs in 2 years. Going in a different direction, you know, balancing your budget on the backs of the teachers. 44 teachers in 2 years, full-time. So moving down a little bit, in regards to our negotiation settlements, our compensation in negotiations, we settled for 2 years, not 3. So first year being this school year, which was 22-23, so the information here listing being settled in the multi-year for all 3 years, no, it's not correct. We're settled for the next coming school year, but not after that. So again, if we can get some clarification, updated information, please. And then in regards to this year's budget, during this time last year, or at the beginning of this year, it was asked if compensation for teachers was included in the budget, and the answer was no. So again, going in a different direction, investing in our teachers when we're creating our budget.
Superintendent,
If I can give any answer or questions,
Well-
I mean,
Superintendent, will you be dealing with this?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I do have a question. What do you mean it's not included in the budget for? You mean the third year out
for
or?
this budget for this year, is it for next year? I mean, is there an answer to that question? Is it included?
Yeah,
So what this means is that when it's asking, is the settlement included, we put yes because 0 is what's included.
So 0% increase for the teachers
Yeah.
again?
So
Okay.
yes, it's included because
Okay.
it's 0.
So, okay, thank you.
It doesn't mean that we've settled. The question asks,
This says it's set, we're settled. It's asking if we're settled for multi-year, and it says yes, yes, yes.
yeah, but it's asking, is the cost of the settlement included in the budget?
we're not supposed to, yeah.
Oh,
We'll have
yeah.
to meet afterwards. But I thought it was an easy, like, I wasn't sure, I was trying to clarify what you were asking us, so
Yeah.
we can't have a,
It could be an easy,
a
it should be,
conversation from
but
here.
definitely, setting up a meeting, absolutely.
please, let's the three of us meet, because we can't really have a conversation here, but I did want clarification of what you were asking, but thank you so
My
much.
calendar cleared up as of today, so.
Yes,
let me
ours
know.
too. Ours too, isn't it shocking?
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Ms. Croce, are there any other people wishing to address agenda items or any employee organizations here?
Yes, we have Ms. Vicenta Ditto for NUMA, and she is on Zoom with
Okay,
us.
thank you.
Ms. Ditto, you may speak.
Good evening. Good evening, President Thomas, Board of Trustees, Superintendent De Leon, Executive Cabinet members, students, and community. We did it. We made it to the end of another school year. NUMA is proud to include in our accomplishments this year professional learning and professional conference attendance by both certificated administrators and classified management members. Our members are committed to leading by example as lifelong learners. We have provided steadfast leadership through impactful changes at the highest levels of our district leadership. We have worked alongside our labor partners of NTA and CSEA to strengthen working relationships and improve the student experiences in many ways. The board's support has been felt as you have visited school sites, attended special events, and have filled your calendars with promotion and graduation ceremonies. And we thank you. Today also marks the first day of Pride Month, a month dedicated to celebrating and improving visibility of our LGBTQ+ community members. To all of our students, staff, and teachers, know that you have representation and allies within the district leadership. Trustworthy, compassionate administrators and managers are here for you. Please seek us out if you need support. We see you. I would also like to take a moment as we close out this year to thank the current NUMA board member that won't be continuing on the team next year. Ms. Rankat Perez, thank you for taking on the role of Vice President and being my right hand in this endeavor. Best of luck to you on your next adventure. It is my pleasure tonight to introduce to you the NUMA leadership for the 23-24 school year. I will be joined as co-president by Ms. Olivia Rangel. Our secretary will be Ms. Julie Calderon, and our treasurer will remain Ms. Ashley Acosta. And joining the NUMA board for the first time is Ms. Christy Palomino as our member at large. We all look forward to working alongside each of you and present the highlights of Newark Management Association for next year. Thank you and have a wonderful summer.
Thank you very much. Next, we have public comment on non-agenda items. Has anyone put in a card?
There were no requests for public comment on non-agenda items.
We have requests from Ms. Parks for 3 agenda items. Would you like to speak during those agenda items, Ms. Parks? Yes. Okay, thank you. And seeing no other requests for agenda items, we will move on to the superintendent's report. Dr. De Leon.
Thank you. Let me go ahead and open it. I apologize. I was thinking of something else real quick. Sorry about that. Well, I can read it off of there. Thank you so much, Ms. Croce. Appreciate it. You want to go ahead to the next slide? So first of all, I do want to congratulate all of the students in our 5th and 8th grade for their promotion. Most of us were able to attend one of the promotions. I wanted to see as many as possible, and I was very fortunate to get to go to several. And I was extremely impressed by all of the promotions at both 5th grade. Got to see the junior high promotion just a couple hours ago, which was great. And wanted to congratulate our wonderful staff, our teachers, administrators, and support staff who helped put it together, and our students who worked so hard over the years to be able to accomplish this. So congratulations. Next, I'd like to, in advance of tomorrow, actually we've had some graduates already, but I'd like to congratulate all of our high school graduates and adult school graduates. Tomorrow night is the graduation ceremony for Newark Memorial High School, and Saturday is Bridgepoint Crossroads. We've already had the adult school, which was a beautiful ceremony. So I want to congratulate all of them as they leave our schools and go on to life as adults, post-secondary life, with post-secondary options, going on to be gainfully employed doing what they love. So we want to congratulate them, their families, as they embrace adulthood. So. I put these in the wrong order. I apologize. Here are some pictures. And also wanted to recognize and thank our wonderful staff who I got these slides all out of order, so just don't mind me. But I do want to thank and recognize all of our wonderful staff who have made this an amazing school year, who have helped our students who are moving on or moving up or ending the school year, who have helped them grow throughout the year. And again, we thank you all so very much for all you do, and that is our certificated, classified, and our administrative staff. Thank you all so very, very much. Let's see, what is the next? Okay. I do want to take a moment to mention that we observed Memorial Day this past week, and to remember our veterans who have fallen and serving our country, and express our deepest gratitude and tribute to their unwavering dedication. Yay. Yes, thank you. Next. Today commences Pride Month 2023. And as we commence Pride Month, I want to reaffirm our commitment to fostering safe, inclusive, and respectful environments for all members of our district community. That includes best practices concerning our LGBTQIA students and staff. So, and to ensure support for their well-being and to promote equality throughout the district. And so I want us to be mindful of that, not just in the month of June, but all year round. So. And then also, just in advance of her beginning, I want to welcome our new student board member, Joy Lee, who will be, she was here. Oh, no. Joy? Well, anyway, dollar short, day late, but thank you, Joy, for joining us on the board. We look forward to working with you. Yay. Let's see what else. There we go. And this next slide is for Tony Stone, who is our HR manager, filling in for Catherine Ingham Waters tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. So what we have on the slide is a high-level overview of our hiring for 23-24 for certificated NTA positions, so teachers and specialists. You can see the first column has the either site level or school site specifically, the candidates that have accepted, the number of candidates that we still need to hire, and the number of pending offers.
Okay.
There's a QR code to the right for all of our open positions that will take you to EdJoin, where you can apply for any open position that we have listed. And we're looking forward to continuing to work with our hiring managers throughout the summer to fill the rest of the vacancies.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Does the board?
Question, we have board questions.
Member Hill.
Thank you, Ms. Stone. Just a clarification, so we're talking about just certificated staff teachers?
And specialists, so speech therapists, psychologists, all of
Okay.
those would be included as well.
Okay, and so we have a total need to hire of about 29 at this point?
That's correct.
Okay, great, thank you.
Any other comments? Member Jones.
My question was a clarification. Under the need to hire, that's how many we still need to hire past the accepted, correct?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Yes.
Any other comments or questions? Yeah, Member Nguyen.
Like, for example, in the elementary level, the need to hire, you said 6, but specifically how many teachers or special, or any other categories? Can you drill down to that level or right now?
Yeah, do you want the grade levels?
Oh, no.
Is that what you're
like,
asking for?
For the elementary level, how many of those 6 that you need to hire are actually?
Those are classroom teachers.
Okay, those are classroom teachers.
Yes.
Thank you.
So do you have data for the other types of employees we're looking to hire?
Yes, do you want those numbers?
Board, do you want those? Sure.
Okay, give me just one second.
Of course.
So we're looking for 2 psychologists, 7 speech therapists, those are the specialists. And those would be included in the SPED count at the bottom.
Oh, those are included in SPED.
That's correct.
Okay. And if we can't hire them, we would have to contract out?
Correct.
Well, let's hope we can find some.
Yes, absolutely. I think the pay increase has been helping our hiring managers feel optimistic, so we'll just keep plugging away.
Yes,
Thank you, Ms. Stone.
thank you. Thank you. Business services.
Yes, so congratulations to our director, Mary Sayers, and her Child Nutrition Services team. They just went through a procurement audit, and it was conducted by the California Department of Education with no findings. They had been going through this since October and just finished. This happens every 8 years, and they review all of their purchasing processes, their POs, their contracts, invoices, et cetera. And special kudos to Sarah Kaiser, who's our child nutrition technician. The auditor was very impressed with how organized she was and how prepared she was with all the information that they requested.
Very nice. Woo! We will take no findings. Yes, we will.
Anytime.
Anytime.
Thank
Yay, very nice, very nice. Okay.
And these are just a couple, again, we've had so many celebrations, so many events at the end of the year. The real showcase here is promotion and graduation, which you saw some of those photos. Couple little things, we did do our outdoor learning with all of our 9th grade biology classes. This was at Don Edwards just recently. And then the next slide shows some of our...
Oh, I'm sorry. The next slide, that's me.
I can do it too.
A little slow on
The
uptake.
SEAL Gallery Walk that we had at Coyote Hills. And so this is, again, the end of the year, and this shows the integration of learning between, learning about environmental literacy, but really using ELD strategies in a really coordinated way. And so you see how many of our families really showed up. It was a great event. And then earlier you went past the student code showcase, which you're also in a picture of. And I'm quite impressed with the amount, you don't have to, but I am quite impressed with the amount of events that you have been able to make in your first couple weeks here at Newark Unified. Right there you go. And so that was our student code showcase at our Star Lab that we also had recently. But again, really, we just want to say congratulations again to all of our families, students, parents, any loved ones that helped get our students across the finish line. They're the real ones to celebrate tonight.
Yay.
Thank you. Woo! Good news all around.
Very much so. Thank you. Thank you. That's it for my report.
Okay, thank you.
And
And
my
I think
team.
I will pass it right back to you to introduce the next agenda item.
I would love to. It is that time. Are you ready? It is with great pleasure that I introduce Abby. Help me with pronouncing your last name because I always do this incorrectly.
It doesn't help that it's Gaelic.
Okay. Say it for me because Karen's. Okay, I knew I was gonna get that wrong. Okay. Who will do our presentation for our LCAP, which will precede our public hearing on the LCAP. Oh, sorry. There you go.
Well, good evening, Cabinet. Superintendent DeLeon, thanks for the intro. Executive Cabinet, community, and of course, the class of 2023. So excited. So I got to go to a few promotions today. It was really, this is my favorite time of year. I'm for the community. I'm Abby Cairns, Director of Special Projects. LCAP is one of the things I do. It's our responsibility as part of the process to do a public hearing. And in this public hearing, I'm going to present sort of an overview of different aspects of the LCAP. The first thing I'm going to overview is the purpose of the LCAP and the LCFF funds, which I've done a few times, but I always like to do it as an educative thing for our community. And then 2, I'll do a review of the process we used to develop the LCAP and the monitoring we did. And then lastly, 2 more things that I'll review the spending from last year. So this year, 2022-23, and then what we plan to spend on for next year, any changes. And I'll highlight actually specifically the changes and speak to those changes and give you a chance to ask me any questions you have, okay? All right, let's go. So, what is the LCFA LCAP? It is the California Public Schools receive state funding through the local control funding formula. Under LCFF, the goal is to ensure every student has a chance to succeed, especially those that have been historically left behind. So who are those students? They are defined by LCFF as low-income, English learner, and foster youth. These students are often referred to as unduplicated students because in the funding formula, they're only counted once, even if they are in multiple categories. So the amount of money is determined using two different aspects. One is base funding for all students, and the other is supplemental and concentration funds, and those are specifically for unduplicated students. So we get two pots of money. The money that was given for the base funds is to raise achievement for all students, and the money that we're given for the supplemental concentration funds is specifically for addressing unduplicated student needs. So what is the LCAP? It is our 3-year plan for how we address the supplemental concentration, use of the supplemental concentration funds for students that are unduplicated, our local control accountability plan. So I want to make sure I start off in the spirit of the LCAP is really to bring the community partners into the focus. Before with the LCAP, it was a lot of categorical funds that were directed by the state. And so I really want to emphasize that we put our community members and our educational partners at the center and collaborate very deeply with them. So I'm sure the board understands this. Doing the LCAP is a complex, hard, deep process. And so I just want to appreciate all the people on this list, all our LCAP members who showed up and put up our kids and the schools and the teachers first in having hard conversations that got us to this point. And I want to give a special shout out to our translator, Yvette Rosales-Binkley, and our administrative assistant, Mandy Pam, for helping us along the way. So thank you, everyone. Okay, so the LCAP advisory met 7 times this year, and this timeline represents the sequence of the work we did together. So we first started by reviewing and debriefing last year's process. Then we reviewed the mid-year data, which included student outcomes, the budget, and what we've done with the actions. Then we continued on with an analysis in January and began to plan for how we would engage the community and feedback in the spring. Then we aggregated the feedback that we received and began to identify trends. Then we brought back another round of data. That was our sort of second interim look at the outcomes, the budget, the actions. And then we closed out by reviewing the revisions and collecting responses to any questions and comments from the community. So I want to point out that the team looked at data through specific lenses and with the intention of really focusing on our priority areas and student groups. So those that are listed here are special education, multilingual students, African American and Hispanic students, and then for the general population, we know that wellness and mental health has been an ongoing concern. And so this represents sort of a visual of the process through which we collected the community input. So there was 3 basic steps here. We engaged a wide range of educational partners, which means we had at least 2 meetings at every school. One of those meetings included either the SSC and or the ELAC. We had a student forum, we had an open survey, and so all of those pieces of data were then aggregated back into themes that were then shared with the DLAC, the LCAP PAC, our SSCs, and our ELACs. And then these themes were then incorporated into the adjustments we made for the LCAP. So just want to point out that big old document does have a summary of those findings on page 19 through 21 if you wanted to focus in on that area to see how we took the themes and built that into the LCAP. And then lastly, I just want to highlight that we are very pleased to have increased the number of community inputs from last year by 18%. I think we're always looking to improve and get more engagement. I didn't include it in here, but because I'm looking at you, Trustee Plancarte, we had a English learner needs assessment survey specifically, and we increased the response rate by over 50%. So that was exciting. Still a low number compared to what we have out there, but it was encouraging. All right. And then, so now we're going to pivot and look at a review of the budget and spending from 22-23, so this current year. So last time I was here in February, I gave you a mid-year report and shared some information. The board adopted in June last year a $6.2 million budget. Our actual number of unduplicated students actually increased from the projection we had at that time in June. So around November, we received the additional $604,000. So I just wanted to make sure that's clear to people, because what was adopted is different than what was actually spent within the course of the year because of that change. So what you see here is a summary of the total adopted budget and the addition of the 6.2 and the additional funds of 607, and then the LCAP estimated spending as of last week. So we're still closing the books, so this number is going to fluctuate a little bit. So, but we got pretty close to spending down, which is the goal. We want to spend down completely. So this brings us to this year. We are projecting to have $5.8 million in our supplemental concentration funds and $509,000 in our rollover or carryover, the unspent funds from this year, which gives us a $6.3 million budget for next year. So with that money, we wanted to make some reductions and some increases based on both outcomes and priorities that surfaced through the analysis we conducted. So this slide is showing a summary. I just want to highlight a few things in the reduction side. So those items I want you to look at are the academic counselor, academic intervention, and mentor teacher stipends. Those are all funded in some way by another source. So either Title II funds for the stipends, our learning recovery, emergency block grant for academic interventions, and our same thing for academic counselors. One of those FTE is paid in that way. The other reductions are made to be in alignment with current spending, and I'll show you what we ended up spending this year. Or they were scaling back funds because we've built capacity, which is kind of the goal. And then the increases reflect priorities around specifically parent engagement, connections between school and home, services for English language learners in our multilingual program, and mental health and wellness. So I just wanted to kind of give the biggest level picture because I'm about to get into the nitty-gritty. Yes.
Just one, Abby, I just want to pause for one moment and
Sure.
ask the board if they have
Yeah.
any questions up to this point. It's always nice to take a little check-in every once in a while.
Yes, I have one question.
Okay.
But
Thank
does
you.
any other board member? I'm noticing the academic counselors are shifted one FTE to the Learning Recovery Grant. The Learning Recovery Grant is one time, whereas we will have ongoing funding for the LCAP. Is there a plan long-term to reduce that after next year, that FTE?
No, I think our equity formula for funding counselors is we want a 500-to-1 ratio. So we are committing to centrally funding 3 counselors at the high school to meet that ratio.
So you'll have to put that cost of that counselor back in next year?
Yes, unless,
It's extended.
yes.
Thank you.
And if the board would like, I have a detailed look at each action and the spending for each action to get into these kinds of questions, if that's helpful for you. I'm really excited we've added actually a new goal. So this is our kind of last biggest important change to point out. We have a goal specifically focused on students with IEPs. The goal was developed in coordination with our state and county accountability partners. And we believe this will help us monitor the services and outcomes for these students in a more focused way, and get to those root causes of why we might be seeing disproportionality among our students with IEPs. And so I'll pause here. I would like to go through in whatever way the board prefers through each item or give a brief overview and allow you to ask questions. What would your preference be? I'm happy to go in whatever level of depth is helpful for you.
I've reviewed these slides. I think it's a good progression. I'm fine with it.
Okay. I'd like to just point out one more thing with this sort of way that the funds shake out. So in that third column, the one that's titled 22-23 Budgeting and Spending. I want to highlight that because we have this beautiful raise that we've just given to our teachers, in some cases where we're over budget is usually as a result of that, specifically for positions, let me qualify that. So, and I want to also note that the increase to pay has not hit the categories of employee salaries that are classified or NUMA, so we probably will see additional increases in those budget items later on.
In the future.
Yes, in the near future. Academic counselors, so the things that are highlighted here in orange are reductions. So I've spoken to the academic counselor one already. The yellow represents increases. So the dual language immersion program is increased. This represents the salary for 8 teachers plus additional funds for curriculum assessments and revisions to the report card. There's a reduction for the ILT, just more in alignment with the spending from this year. College career support increase. This represents the addition of the Puente program, $25,000 to continue to service students in the Puente program. A reduction in the district professional development. This is represents turning inward and building capacity within and less external contracts with professional learning providers. Increase to instructional program 114. This represents an increased access to iReady and the new cost structure to the Google Enterprise platform. It's more expensive than it used to be. So we have a sort of reduction in the language contract services. This is actually support for the LPAC administration. Just trying to make our budget in alignment with actual spending. Teacher induction program, this is not a reduction. We're just kind of splitting it between Title II. EL liaisons are increasing because of the salary increases. Academic intervention teachers, we've moved the intervention funds to LRE, and every school is getting $100 per student to service in the best strategy that works for their needs, students that need that acceleration. The orange there, PBIS, this will be funded from site SIPSAs, no longer from the LCAP, because that's the place where they make those decisions, is at the site. Parent involvement increases and data management increases. We're going to have slight increase to the parent involvement and support. This is representing Parent Square, the communication platform the board approved. The data management system is not actually an increase. We've just collapsed one other action. We're trying to streamline. We had a few redundancies in the actions. Slight increase to parent workshops. We're going to have Smart Starts next year. And then mental health and wellness is slightly increased as a result of some increases to our cost of the partnership with Wellness Together. Parent engagement health services, the addition of a family liaison, which is a current position we have. And a reduction of science education and STEAM initiative is just represents, this is the third year of that, third year of the STEAM initiative, and a reduction in the need for additional curriculum and things that we really had to do at the start of the launch of that program. And the science education, it's a reduction here, but we're splitting the money with the Title V money, so it's not an actual reduction. We just have a different funding source for that. And then last but not least, this is action 4.1, so this is our new special education action, is support for students with disabilities, specifically behavioral support and the cost and SST process. Okay.
Very good.
Happy to answer any questions. I apologize if that was too much detail, but I'd rather go.
Before we go to the board, we did have Ms. Cindy Parks wanting to speak to this issue.
Good evening. While it sounds wonderful to see on page 4 that the total budget of expenditures for high-need students is $6.8 million and the actual expenditures for high-need students is $6.3 million, activities approved a year ago that went unfulfilled would not support that claim. This evening, I would like to ask you to stop using supplemental and concentration money to fund general operating expenditures or special projects. I'm talking about the $396,000 for academic counselors, $834,000 for the dual language immersion program, $301,000 for leadership or the assistant principal at Newark Memorial, $105,000 for the program administrator of science, an administration position that doesn't even, the administrator that doesn't even have a degree in science. From the from the CDE website, you should be funding action services that address implementation of academic content and performance standards adopted by the state board, providing programs and services that will enable English learners to access English language arts and mathematics, Common Core academic standards, gaining academic content knowledge, and English language proficiency. In other words, this money is supposed to be helping your English learners along with your unduplicated foster, homeless, and migrant students. It is not intended to help you balance your budget. I would like to address the $834,000 that's now going to come out of that fund to fund the DLI program. This program is just finishing its second year. At the end of its first year, you had 2 kinder and 2 first grades. The 4 classes had a total enrollment of 80 students with a contractual maximum of 96, 80, 96. This year, adding the second grade, the 6 classes ended with 126 students with a maximum contractually of 144. You're not filling the classes. It's important to note that one of the second grade classes ended the year with 16 students and the other one with 18. When this cohort left the first grade, those classes had 21 and 22 students. While I understand the makeup of half of these students is English learners, is this the best way to spend $834,000 on staffing and instructional materials? How will the district balance continual attrition and with the addition of the 4th grade looming in another year with a classroom contractual maximum of 31? As I noted, there are other actions being funded through the LCAP that I believe should be general operating expenses, and I hope this practice will stop next year, as you will be starting a new 3-year cycle. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Parks. So I'd open it up to questions or comments from the board. Member Hill?
Thank you, Ms. Cairns, for the presentation. And truth be told, so when I was getting my teaching credential at San Jose State, I had a teacher that said, you know, you really need to understand how things actually work in a Rio school district. And so one of our assignments was to actually go out and pick a school district and look at the LCAP. And so in 2019, I looked at Newark's LCAP. And all I will say is, since you've come on board, Ms. Cairns, there's been a definite improvement. But at the same time, right, we're not satisfied with good. We want to be great.
Yes.
And so what I would like, since we're going to be approaching a new 3-year cycle, I would like to encourage the team to challenge themselves and look at some best practices, some benchmarks. And I understand in talking with Member Thomas in a separate venue that, you know, there are other models that we might look at as we embark on this new effort. And I think Berkeley has one, and there could be others. And so I think it would be great as we start on this to say, okay, what have we learned? What's working well? And how can we take it to the next level? Thank you.
I'm excited about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much. So next, we move on to the public hearing on the proposed local control and accountability plan, the LCAP. The hearing is hereby opened. Is there anyone that wishes to speak to this? Seeing none, hearing is closed. Thank you. Next, we move on to staff report for the budget.
At this time, I'd like to ask Ms. De La Cruz, our Assistant Superintendent of Business Services, to present the budget.
Thank you, Dr. De Leon. So thank you. It's my pleasure to present the proposed budget for next year, 23-24. This proposed budget covers the period from July 2023 through June 30th, 2024. It includes all of our general fund, our adult education fund, the child development fund, our cafeteria fund, special reserves, our bond fund, and our post-employment benefit self-insurance fund. It also includes a multi-year projection for the two subsequent years, 24-25 and 25-26. And we are required to submit it to the Alameda County Office of Education within 5 days after it's been adopted, or by July 1st, whichever comes first. And there is no certification like we do for our interim reports. The county will either approve it, disapprove it, or conditionally approve our district budget. So some of the key components and assumptions in the 23-24 budget include an enrollment projection of 4,945, which is about 6 less than what we projected for this year. The average daily attendance is estimated at 44,549, which comes from attendance yield of 92% ratio. And funded ADA is estimated at 5,028, and this is based on the new ADA relief formula. It is 302 less than 22-23. Our COLA is estimated at 8.22%, which is based on the governor's May revised proposal. And the unduplicated pupil percentage for supplemental and concentration funds is estimated at 52.5%. Lottery revenue is $170 per ADA on the unrestricted lottery and $67 per ADA for restricted. We also have a mandated cost block grant in our revenues at $37.78 per K-8 ADA and $72.78 per 9-12. We include contributions that help support our restricted programs like special ed and our routine restricted maintenance account. And then the assumption is all of our federal and state restricted programs are self-funded. The COVID-related funds, such as the ESSER, the elementary and secondary school emergency relief funds, the arts and music and instructional materials discretionary block grant, these are not included in our revenues expenditures. We will incorporate these funds after we close the books for 22-23, and that we're able to determine what the carryover amounts are. So in our revenues, our main source of funding comes from LCFF. Our projected total revenues is $79 million, and again, it's based on the projected funded ADA of 5,028. We are using the ADA relief formula, which takes into account either the higher of the current year, the prior year, or the 3-year average. Some of the major funding sources include the LCFF, our federal revenues and other state revenues and other local revenue. If you look at our proposed revenues for next year compared to this year, you'll see that our federal revenues are about 50% less. And that's because of the ESSER funds. And on the other state revenues, the decrease of 57% is because it doesn't include the LRE and the arts and music grant, which is about $9 million. And then other local revenue, we do have some grants that are one-time that are not included for next year, such as we do have a CalShape HVAC grant, and then also donations. We start at 0 because we that amount fluctuates. We don't exactly know how much we get in donations every year. So Ms. Kearns just talked about our LCAP funding. These are some of the components that was shared. The LCAP and LCFF includes the base grant. Well, within the LCFF is our LCAP, but it has our base grant funding for all students, the grade span adjustments, and supplemental and concentration grant of the $5.8 million. And also the add-ons for home to school transportation, the TK, and the total funding for LCFF is $63 million. On the expenditure side, we do have total budget expenditures of $82.1 million. That's including both the unrestricted and restricted expenditures. Our total salaries and benefits is about $64.3 million, which represents 78% of our total budget. Other major expenditures are with the other operating expenditures category. Because our salaries and benefits do take up most of our budget, some of the assumptions and factors that we include and incorporate in our projections include any salary increases. So for next year, it's the 6%, the FTEs for classified and certificated, the step and column increases, again, for all certificated, classified, and management is built into the budget. All of the retirement rates, the STRS and PERS rate. The PERS rate is estimated to go up about 1.3 percentage points for next year. And Medicare, Social Security, all the workers' comp, and statutory benefits are all part of our salary and benefit projections. So this is just the how the categories are split up. You can see the major part of our expenditures is from the salaries and benefits, and then the other big piece of the pie is the services and operating expenses of 18%. And that includes all of our contracted services, utilities, attorney fees, and other professional services, including transportation as well for special ed. And in the contributions, we have $15.75 million that the general fund contributes to the special education program, as well as the routine restricted maintenance account. We are required to provide 3% of our general fund expenditures to the routine restricted maintenance account for maintenance and upkeep of district facilities. You can see that our revenues for special ed is $4.3 million. Versus expenditures, which is at $17.6 million. And then if you add the expenditures for the routine restricted maintenance, that's a total expenditure of $20 million. And the difference between those two is what we contribute to the general fund, the $15.75 million, or contribute to restricted programs from the general fund. So in summary, when you look at our revenues and our expenditures on the unrestricted side for next year, we have a net decrease to our fund balance of $561,000. And our fund balance, beginning fund balance is about $15.5 million. So if you decrease that by the 561, it leaves us with a net ending fund balance of $14.9 million. And then on the restricted side, we're projected to have a decrease in fund balance of $2.6 million. So from the beginning fund balance of 8.8, that leaves us with a net ending fund balance of 6.2 million for a total ending fund balance of 21.1 million. So in our ending fund balance, we do have non-spendable accounts such as our revolving cash, our stores accounts, and we also have a committed fund balance of 11 million, and then our reserve for economic uncertainties of 3.6 million, which equals the ending fund balance of 14.9 million. We also have our other funds, our Adult Education Fund, the Child Development Fund, the Cafeteria Fund, our Special Reserves, Fund 17. There's a balance of $2.3 million in there. Our bond fund, Measure G, we have about $6,000 left. The Capital Facilities Fund, which is our developer fee account, the ending fund balance is projected at $6 million. And Fund 40, which we also call our Russian Fund, is at 7.7, almost 7.8 million. On the multi-year projection, we do have assumptions for 24-25 COLA of 3.94% and then 3.29 in 25-26. The employer's contribution rate for retirement is the same for STRS, but they go up slightly for PERS. And then our lottery projections are the same for the next 2 years. Same with the, the mandated block grant, they go up a little bit every year. So what we use for ADA and enrollment assumptions, you can see 23-24, our enrollment projection is at 4,945, and then next year it goes down slightly at 4,871. And then in the second out year, it goes up a little bit at 4,898. And compare that to our ADA at 92% ratio. You see our ADA for next year is projected at 4,481 and 4,506 in the next year. But our funded ADA, because of the ADA relief formula, is actually higher at 4,718 in 24-25 and 4,535 in 25-26. But you can see that it is also declining. It's just because of the ADA relief. It's giving us some time to resolve the declining enrollment issues. This is what it looks like on the chart. You can see how our enrollment has been declining over the years. This is since 1920, when our enrollment was at, what is it? Almost, 5,500. And our ADA was at 5,500. And our unduplicated pupil count was almost 3,000 to where we're at today in 22-23, and then what's projected in 24-25. Is projected to continue to decline. So in the out years, you can see our revenues for 24-25 and 25-26. They remain about the same, even though we do have COLA, because if you take into account our reduction in ADA and enrollment, the revenues are also going down slightly. And with our expenditures, total expenditures going up every year, 53.3 next year, and then, in the first subsequent year, and 54.6 in 25-26, we have a deficit of $6 million and $8 million in the next 2 out years. This just shows again the components of our ending fund balance, where we have our non-spendable category as well as our committed fund balance. You can see that in order to meet our 3% in that second out year, our committed fund balance will need to be lowered. So our reserves, including our Fund 17 reserves, will go from 7% down to 3% by 25-26. So what's next? In summary, the latest version of the LCFF calculator, which calculates our LCFF revenues, it was released just after our budget was posted on the agenda. And we'll have to recalculate that, and there may be a slight difference in our revenues, because when they release new versions, they incorporate all of in this one would be all of the governor's May proposals. So any changes will be presented to the board at the next meeting. And we have to commit to balancing our budget and come up with some solutions so that we can reduce and eliminate our deficits in the next 2 years. Our superintendent will be working with the community to convene a budget task force, because we need to take this important work and come up with some strategies, either in revenue enhancements and expenditure reductions, so that we remain fiscally stable. The governor, and the legislature have until June 17th to agree to a state budget, and any significant changes after the budget is presented and the board signs the budget, we'll have 45 days to present it to the board. And the adoption will be presented at the next meeting, or the recommendation to adopt this budget. And that's it. Any questions?
Yes, Member Nguyen?
Thank you, President Thomas. I do have 2 questions. The first one is in regards to the UPP percentage. Right now, the proposed calculation is 52%. So last year, in the proposed calculation, I know it was roughly probably around the same percentage. How much were we able to increase during the year? Because obviously that there was an impact to the LCAP and the money was increased. So do you anticipate us being able to get to the 55% once the school year starts?
Yes, so we've always started out conservative because of the universal meal program. There isn't a lot of incentive for our families to complete those applications. And we've been going through the More Than a Meal campaign and making phone calls, and that has really helped increase our UPP. So this year, we were able to increase it slightly over that 55% to where we get concentration money. We were at 55.14.
Okay.
So we're hoping for the same thing. And even more, because you can see that in previous years, we were at 3,259.
Right.
So you can see we have the capacity and the ability to be more than 55%.
Correct.
And so it's just a matter of messaging and letting our families know it's more than a meal. Those applications, it really helps us with additional funding for our students to provide more services. And Ms. Kearns just went through some examples of, the great services that are provided through our LCAP.
Is there any way in our registration system right now, Synergy or ParentView, to be able to, make that a mandatory fill out while during registration? Because I think that cuts back on a lot of us having, you guys staff, personally making the calls. I know I was one of the parents that was called later in the year just to make up that difference, right? But I don't automatically fill that out because my kids don't generally, have lunch at school. But aside from that, I think it's, I think it's us trying to get ahead of it to be able to, to capture that, accurately. So I hope that we can put something in place to be able to do that.
We have been exploring that option, yes.
Okay, great.
One of the challenges with that is the registration happens obviously the year before,
Right.
and some of these forms, I'm not sure about the More Than a Meal, but some of the forms that we would love to be more automated during registration have to be done in that year, in
No,
that
you're
academic
correct.
year.
You're correct, because we had been audit findings on that one, yes.
Right.
So
We
we do
remember
need,
that.
we do need to be careful. So thank you for reminding me of that.
The other alternative is there are 2 forms. One is the long form, is what I call, is the full meal application form, and then there's the alternate income form, which is
Right.
really short, and that's the one that we are planning to mail out to all our
Okay.
families, and it's not as intimidating, and hopefully we'll be able to fill those out and turn them in at the schools.
Okay, and then,
I feel a door-to-door walking campaign coming.
Okay,
I'm all over it.
okay.
well, Member Nguyen, yeah.
My second question is really quick.
Oh, I thought that was your third.
Oh, no, that was my first. My second question is, Okay, thanks. My second question has.
Two questions, and then we'll come back to you later.
Okay, no, this is it. My second question, it pertains to the contribution from general fund for special education. I noticed that it's a huge increase from last year's adopted budget of like $6.5 million. Can you please explain why there is such a huge increase this year?
Well, we've had a lot of increases in services, and to be specific, I'd have to.
And I apologize, you can get back to
Get
me on
that,
that question. I just now, looking over it again, I saw that, so if you can just send that information to the board as well. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Other questions or comments?
I just have a comment on the More Than a Meal campaign, and I think it's just a matter also of probably having more thorough communication as far as why it's so important. The feedback that I've heard is that really, families feel that they probably won't qualify, so they don't end up filling it out. And then another thing too is that, why does the district need to have, income, their, families' incomes? And so, these are legitimate things that come up, and I think that if maybe we can get ahead of it too with thorough communication, really educating our families of why this is important and really what it does. I think that could also be helpful.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Member Hill?
Thank you, Ms. Dela Cruz. Just a request. Would you mind posting the presentation out on the website?
Sure.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
We can do that.
Thank you.
In the future, it would be helpful if it could be on the agenda if you have it in time, so that folks at home can see it. And I understand that it could be attached to the agenda, which makes it better than if it's put in the library.
Yes, so all of this information is in the executive summary. It's just in a presentation format. So the information that I presented this evening is in the executive summary. That's part of the entire budget book.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a few questions. If anyone else? Okay.
You only get two, though.
Yeah, because you cut me off
No, I
at
get
two.
two.
You
Gotcha.
You cut me off at two, so
No, I get two, and then if none
Then you
of
can
you
come
have.
back
I'll give you my one that I didn't ask.
Okay, are you ready to stay all night? I have a whole bunch of questions.
good Lord.
No, no, actually, this triggered some of the things that I could have maybe asked earlier in writing, but, the enrollment being 6 less than last year, we have demographic reports. Didn't we have one in December, I understand? And is this consistent with the demographic report?
Yes, we use the demographic report for our enrollment.
Could we get a copy of that demographic report? Can the board get a copy?
Sure.
I don't think we've seen it. Okay,
It should have been attached to one of the board items, but yes.
okay. 92% ADA, we know that COVID had a lot to do with absences, and it seems to me that's too conservative. I just feel it's too conservative.
Yes, so within the criteria and standards, although we have historically been able to reach, 96, 97%, if in the last 2 years we've only shown 91, 92%, if you go more than 1 or 2% in your projections, you'll get a not met in the criteria and standards. So
Well,
it
we
may
have a few
seem
not met,
conservative. Our goal is to get higher, yes.
Okay.
I understand that,
Yeah,
but in terms of projections, we have to stay within the standards.
Well, could you add the 1%?
Sure.
Anyway, you left out the Learning Recovery and the Art and Music Grant, and I don't know, don't we usually get told, well, we got told in the governor's budget how much we could expect, which is a cut in both of those. But why, don't we fund personnel out of some of that money, in our LCAP and stuff? And if you don't put it now in the budget, how is it that you can can justify adding personnel that, maybe is expecting to be funded.
No, the LRE is in the budget. It was the arts music. The arts music grant is not. So we didn't include the arts music grant.
And that didn't have any personnel in it?
That didn't, no.
Okay. Okay, and anyone else for questions? I've asked 3, but you did give me some. One more. Okay. Well, maybe 2 more.
I object. No, just kidding. Just kidding, just.
Our percentage for special ed, are we tracking that? And is there a way that we can, you can give us an idea? We're more than our other districts in Alameda County, and it would be nice to see how much
Very high.
we are spending and why. So maybe that's not a question for you, but for special ed department. But it really would be helpful for the board to track that. And then my last question, I don't understand what the 1.1 million transfer of indirect funds is all about. If I knew it before, I forgot.
So most of our restricted funds allow us to transfer indirect costs to general fund. That's what that is.
Oh.
For administrative and those types of costs.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing no other board comments.
They're afraid.
I know. Okay, we move on to 14.
Thank you.
14.1, and we do have,
Public hearing.
13.
oh, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
13.1.
13.1. Public hearing is opened for the 23-24 proposed budget. Would anyone like to address the board? Seeing none, public hearing is closed. So next we move on to 14.1. 14.1 is a verbal summary of the financial terms of the employment agreement for the assistant superintendent for educational services. This next item is to approve an addendum to the assistant superintendent's contract, which will provide her with a salary of $208,404 for the 2022-23 school year. Upon receipt of an overall positive evaluation for the 2023-24 school year, her salary will be increased to $220,000, thank you, $908, effective July 1, 2024. Next, we have a public speaker that would like to speak on 14.2, Ms. Parks.
Okay, while I understand that what is here happened back there this evening, I feel that this is very poor disclosure to the public, first of all. Secondly, the preparation of this document is extremely confusing. You have a contract that Ms. Pierce Davis got when she was hired in 2021. You have amended it twice, I believe, and in trying to go back to all of the documents that you don't even reference, I mean, it's like, this is so confusing, okay? Her contract will end the end of this month. There is nothing in here about a term, which was in your May 4th document that came to you. This has nothing extending the term. This only deals with salary. The document that you had on May 4th that Dr. Milliken brought to you had a section regarding the term. You don't reference the current salary of well, I'm not even sure what it is, because 192.66.67, or is that then she got the 2% and it's 196.820? I mean, you don't even reference on here what her current salary is to let the public know. It's great that you've read out what she's going to be making, but where have you told the public there isn't even anything referenced in the agenda that lets them know where she is now versus where she's going. Where's the disclosure there? Where's the transparency? You have a typo in the last paragraph where it says addendum and amendment. You put a $sign number 2 when it should be number 2. I just think that this is a very poorly drafted document, and it's lacking all the components necessary, and it isn't proper disclosure, which, especially for an executive in a school district or a city, is supposed to be there. Thank you.
Thank you. Superintendent, would you like to speak to this? Sure.
Absolutely. So, yes, this was drafted by our attorney based on all of the documents from the previous meeting. So you're right, we could have brought this, but yeah, so that's my fault and I will accept responsibility for that. So the term of this agreement is for 1 year, as is indicated by the fact that she has to have a positive evaluation for it to move forward. And we can revise that. We can revise that upon approval and then present another copy.
Thank you. Any comments from the board? Yeah, Member Hill?
Yeah, I'd just like to support Dr. DeLeon's recommendation that we just add the 1-year term to this.
To this document.
Yes.
So then I guess I would ask for a motion to approve it with the amended 1-year term called out.
I'll make a motion to approve with the addendum of the 1-year term added on there.
I second.
Okay. Member Jones makes the motion. Member Nguyen seconds. Please vote.
Sorry, just one moment. I wanted to get the addendum in there. Thank you. Voting's open. Votes are in. 5 aye.
I don't know if this is out of order, but in the interest of transparency, can we talk about the percentage increases that this represents?
Absolutely.
This represents a salary increase of 8%, which is retroactive to the beginning of this year. That in combination with the 2% that she had already received is 10%, which is equal to what was bargained with our other groups. She will receive, upon the end of her 1-year term, as indicated here under the 22-23 school year, with a positive evaluation, not just satisfactory, but positive evaluation, beginning on the first day of July 1st, 2024, she would then commence with 6%, which is not retroactive to, so that's what it is.
Okay, thank you very much. And congratulations. Dr. Nicole. And for anyone in the public that doesn't know this, Dr. Nicole got her doctorate about a week or 2 ago. Congratulations. Okay, next we move on to the approval of the SIPSs, the Single Plan for Student Achievement. There's 6 of them in there, I believe. So Superintendent, or?
Yes. Dr. Pierce Davis, Would you please present the item on our single plans for student achievement? Thank you.
Sounds so good. Thank you. So tonight we bring you, and as well as Ms. Cairns, who's available in the audience if there are any questions to process as well, the single plan for student achievement of multiple schools. Our goal this year was to bring at least 4 ahead of time so that we didn't bring them all on the same date, but our principals really took that challenge on, and we had far more than we anticipated, so we exceeded our goal. Just as a review for our community, school plans for student achievement are developed in coordination with their SSE, school site councils and principals. So this is really a representation of the community and what the community wants to, how the community wants to prioritize the funds that they've been allocated through the LCAP directly to school sites. We're happy to answer any questions that you may have. Although principals are not available today, if you did have questions that we would not be able to answer, we can always pull that agenda item and put it on the June 15th and have principals here to answer any questions.
Thank you. Questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, please vote. I would entertain a motion to approve the single plan for student achievement, part 1.
I'll make a motion to accept the 6 plans that are set before us today in part 1.
I second.
Member Jones makes a motion, Member Nguyen seconds to approve the single plans for student achievement, part 1. Please vote. Thank you.
Votes are in, 5 aye.
Thank you. Next, we move on to the consent agenda, personnel items. So, yes?
Pull the personnel report.
I
just had a question
Well,
about
do we vote on these separately anyway? No, okay.
No.
Okay, so, Member Hill wants the personnel report pulled. If there are no further polls on this, I would entertain a motion to approve 15.3, 2022-23, and 2023-24 CSEA salary schedules, and the 2022-23 and 2023-24 NUMA salary schedules.
I move to,
I move what President Thomas just said.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and second to approve items 15.3 and 15.4, the salary schedules for CSEA and NUMA. Please vote.
Votes are in, 5 aye.
Thank you.
Back to 15.2.
Pardon?
We need to go back to 15.2.
Oh, yes, 15.2, Member Hill.
Yeah, thank you, and I'm sorry I didn't get this question in earlier. But just a clarification.
Yes.
So one of the employees is taking a leave of absence, and I wanted to understand what a .1 means, because I know that we don't have the Ms. Ingham Waters here, but if somebody could just explain that.
Oh, Tony's here.
Is Ms. Stone still here?
Yes, would you please come up?
Sure. So the employee that this is referencing is 0.7 employee, which means they held a 0.5 previously. We added another 0.2 for them this past year, this year we're in now. Next year, the employee is looking to be a 0.6 FTE. So they're taking a leave of absence for the 0.1 to bring them down to a 0.6. And if you think about 1.0 as 5 days a week and a 0.2 being each day, 3 days out of the 5.
So they're moving to 3 days?
Correct.
Okay, Great. Okay, that was my only question. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Would you like to make a motion, Member Hill?
I move that we approve the personnel report.
I'll second that. Please vote.
Votes are in, 5 ayes.
Thank you. Next, we move on to the consent agenda. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items. We have already pulled item 16.8. So, Member Nguyen?
I'd like to pull item 16.4, please.
Okay, Member Nguyen pulls 16.4. Member Hill?
Now I'd like to pull 16.7.
16.4, 16.7, and 16.8. So with that, I would entertain a motion to approve 16.2, monthly purchase order report, 16.3, elementary social emotional learning curriculum, Character Strong, and 16.5, Central State University, student teaching, 16.6, University of Massachusetts Global Supervised Internships.
Oh, sorry. I apologize. Could we also pull item 16.3?
16.2,
No, 16.3.
16.3. Okay, let's make a motion, and please include the numbers that you're making the motion for.
So I make a motion to approve 16.2, the monthly purchase order report, 16.5, the Central State University College of Education MOU, and 16.6, University of Massachusetts Global Supervised Internship Agreement.
May I have a second?
I'll second that.
Yeah. Member Hill makes the motion. Member Jones seconds. Please vote. Please vote.
Votes are in, 5 ayes.
Thank you. Item 16.3, elementary social emotional learning. Ms. Nguyen?
Hi, just a quick overview. Can staff tell us how that program has been working this last year in terms of strengths, weaknesses, if you can speak to that?
Yes, it seems to be working most positively at our elementary schools, specifically at our schools where we have a PBIS support, somebody who can go into classrooms, provide that real-time coaching support. We did bring an individual on who can support with those at our 2 Title I elementary schools, and it's been positive, right? We've seen that certification. I think both are going to be gold certified for PBIS this year. Where we struggled is secondary, specifically high school. It hasn't seemed to sort of take as well. There's a couple different options for what this could look like moving forward, and so those are going to be discussions for next year. We're also rolling out the way in which it could happen. There's sort of a lag year because, as you know, we're rolling out ethnic studies next year as part of a state mandate as well. And the recommendations from the curriculum council is that we pair that class with a class called freshman seminar and bring that back into the district. Not that we're adding another elective, but just ethnic studies is going to take up a block. And so do we make it a full year or do we pair it with another class? All of these decisions are sort of going to be made in the next year. And so there's discussions about possibly really pushing it into that specific 9th grade class, which would look much different than sort of a school-wide, seniors who are becoming adults, those kinds of things. That being said, I would say just because you're about to be an adult does not mean you do not need social emotional learning. We see that every day, whether you're adults or children. And so we just have some more work to do. It's buy-in on all levels too. It's not just students, it's teachers, it's staff. And so if it's not character strong, which is what our curriculum council chose, then we need to go back to curriculum council and ask for more suggestions.
Okay, great. I really appreciate that answer. Thank you, because I was making the assumption that it was working in the elementary schools, but may have some issues in the secondary schools. So, thank you.
Could I ask a question? It says that the Character Strong is an elementary curriculum, that we are approving only the elementary curriculum, so it would be more expensive if we were paying for the secondary, correct?
So one thing I do want to note, when we changed the quote to this agenda item, we took out the professional development because we were trying to, we've already had it for a couple of years, we didn't need that, and it looks like what's been added back in now is the secondary. You can see it on that second line item there where it says 2 licenses. It's cheap, it's about $1,000 for both of those licenses. So I would assert to the board, you have a choice. We have no problem pulling it and adding it to June 15th with that agenda removed, although given the timeline and that we're not going to have curriculum council meet over the summer, most likely we were going to recommend moving forward with the secondary license again while we try to work it out and see what that would look like the following year. So really it is the board's choice. It is how you want to proceed. But I do think it's important to note that that's a mistake. That shouldn't be on there. It looks like they took one thing off and snuck in another thing.
Could we approve it with that
Amended or?
eliminated?
With the secondary
Yeah.
eliminated,
Yeah.
we absolutely can. And then, again, most likely we'd probably bring the secondary back to you, or we could wait until the beginning of next year. We have some options.
You may go into something else entirely anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. So would you like to make a motion, Ms. Nguyen, to that effect?
Sure. I'd like to make a motion with an addendum to not renew the secondary licenses.
I'm sorry, for clarification, that was to not renew the secondary?
So
Not renew.
to
Not
remove
renew.
the second.
Thank you, that's what I think, you.
Okay. And is there a second?
I second.
Member Nguyen makes a motion, Member Hill seconds to accept it with the removal of the secondary. Please vote.
Thank you, votes are in, 5-0.
Thank you. Next, we move on to 16.4, Lozano Smith, attorneys at law. Ms. Nguyen?
Thank you, President Thomas. I just have a quick comment. I do have concerns with this contract. Just in general, Lozano Smith, attorney at law, have had in the past put our district in a liability in one main huge case regarding CPRA requests, and which caused the district several $100,000 and exposed us to liability. So I am a no on this one. That's it.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve 16.4?
I move to approve 16.4.
I'll second.
Okay. Member Hill moves and Member Jones seconds to approve the Lozano Smith contract. Please vote.
Thank you, votes are in, 4 aye, 1 nay from Member Nguyen.
We move on to 16.7, Wi-Fi equipment purchase. Member Hill.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm sorry I didn't get these questions in earlier. I had a community member reach out with some questions and concerns about this agenda item, and so I just wanted to get some clarifications. And so it does look like Well, so one of the areas that this person had identified that there were challenges was seeing, and let me, sorry, I gotta go click on it.
Wait,
was-
excuse me. I'm sorry. Thank you for reminding me. We do have a public speaker on this.
okay.
Sorry, thank you. Ms. Parks, please come forward. I apologize.
That's okay, I was gonna just let Mr. Hill go on and see if I even needed to get up here, he was gonna cover the same thing. So here's the thing is, it's a little bit confusing. You approve this item with a particular vendor, then they came back and said, oh, I can't do this. So then you went out, then you went and did a piggyback, or you got new quotes with CDW and AMS, and you have paperwork that shows, or you have how much money they're gonna charge, and you have the quote from CDW, but I don't see anything in here that shows an amended installation cost. I don't see the piggyback arrangements. So I'm just kind of, this looks like it kind of fell through and then it was pieced together and it's missing pieces. So I would hope that you would take a little bit closer look at this because this district has updated the Wi-Fi several times, and it always seems that as soon as it gets done, then the staff and the students are complaining, saying that the Wi-Fi is not working sufficiently to fully cover the campuses. And you ran into the same situation with the clocks, bells, and PA system when that got hooked up with Measure G. So just making sure that what you're paying for is what you've gotten. You've heard from the students recently about how it's not worked at the high school and the junior high, and I would hope that before you spend so much money that you ensure that this is going to do the job that it needs to do. Thank you.
Thank you. So Member Hill, you pulled this item?
Thank you. Yeah, and so community member reached out and expressed a few concerns, and a couple of them were just related to transparency, and they were asking about, well, where were some of the quotes, like where's the piggyback quote, where's the AMS quote, and it looks like those have since been posted under administrative content, but if there's a way that we could make that visible for everybody, that would be great. So I think that those issues got addressed. But the one question that I have, and again, this was brought up by the community member that reached out to me, was so that this vendor, Colligo or Collegio Systems, they'd said that they had, due to unforeseen circumstances, they couldn't handle the equipment portion, so that's why we had to go out. But I'd heard some concerns around this vendor, and I heard that they, and I don't know whether this is true or not, so this is why I'm asking the question, that they're kind of a one-man shop. And so I just want to make sure that we really feel comfortable that this is, that we're ready to move forward with this, or whether we should take a second look at it, again, since it's so much money. And so I'm hoping that we could just get a little bit more clarity on this.
Sorry. Colligo Systems is not a one-man shop. They are working with several school districts. They're a pretty large company if you look them up. And yeah, unfortunately, the equipment side of the contract could not be fulfilled, so we right away went out and got these quotes, which are part of a piggyback contract. And because Colligo was very much involved in identifying our needs and is very familiar with the project, it just makes sense to continue for them to do the installation. Otherwise, we'd have to start all over, and it could just further delay this project.
Great, thank you. And so I'm glad to hear that they're a bigger outfit. So that's great. And then just could you help us understand why were they not able to handle the equipment part of it?
That we're not privileged. It's a relationship maybe between them and the vendor, but that's not something that I can really provide right now.
Okay, thank you.
With that, can I have a motion, Member Hill?
I'm comfortable making the motion. I've worked with CDWG a lot of times, ordering equipment for technology projects, so I make the motion to approve it.
Member Nguyen moves to approve. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Plancarte makes a second. Please vote.
Thank you. Votes are in. 5 aye.
Thank you. So next we move on, almost to the end of the meeting, with Board of Education Committee reports, announcements, requests, debrief. But we pulled that one earlier in the beginning of the meeting. So let's begin with Member Nguyen.
Thank you, President Thomas. I do not have anything to report back on the committees, although I will be filling in for Member Jones for the SELPA, so on June 13th. So, Ms. Croce, if you can remind me, that would be great. Thank you. I would really appreciate it. And I don't have any requests, but I do have a statement that I would like to make tonight. So I'll go at it. So today marks the last day of school and an official end to the class of 2023 K-12 experience. Congratulations, class of 2023. You all have spent your first 2 years of high school in distance learning, and I am in awe of your resilience, dedication, and determination to not let any potential learning loss get in the way of your success. It was evident at Senior Awards Night that so many of you had made honor roll and competed for high honors and rewarded with scholarships. I'm so proud and full of emotions because no matter where you go from here, you will have that grit and determination to carry you through any and all difficulties in life. I wish you all great success in your future endeavors. To the 8th graders and 5th graders who are promoting to the high school and junior high, congratulations. You too have gone through a lot, and I want you to remember that although the transition to high school and the junior high may seem scary at first, you have to remember first and foremost, I hope that you look at it as a new beginning, a reset, a time to start new relationships and make new connections, make new friends, and build a solid foundation with your new teachers. I hope you find excitement in your new adventures ahead. Lastly, to all our teachers, staff, and executive team, thank you for finishing the year strong. There were hiccups along the way, and we overcame them. I want to especially thank everyone who went above and beyond year after year for our students and families in the district. The work that you do is tremendous and unwavering. As our district continues to grow and change for the better, we have to remember that there will be occasional failures, but those failures are not what defines us. Remember, small progress over time builds long-lasting, positive, impactful changes. So we should not be afraid of failure, but rather embrace what we can learn from it, try our best to not to repeat it, and build lasting progress from it. There were so many wonderful accomplishments, and I just want to conclude that and say thank you and have a wonderful summer break. Enjoy your families and friends and try really hard to relax and chill. Please. Thank you. That's it.
Absolutely. Ms. Plancarte?
I don't have anything to report as far as committees are concerned, but I did want to just go ahead and really just congratulate all of the educators and the staff on completing a great year, and also to our students, our graduates. I wish you all the best, to those who are moving on and to those who are moving up to the high school and to the junior high and in the other sites. I really do wish everyone the best of luck. And I also just wanted to touch on a few things that I've been a part of, and it just really is a testament to just the commitment that our staff has for our students and our community. and also our parents and our families. And I attended a kinder celebration at BGP, and it was our very first celebration, according to the staff. And it was just magnificent to have all the parents there and really celebrating their little kinder students. And then also, just yesterday, we had a fun day at BGP as well. And really, I think the ones to celebrate there were the staff, the teachers. They were welcoming to the parents. They knew that they wanted to put something great out for our students, and it wouldn't have been done without the outreach to families to come and help. And really, I think that the past few years have been really rough as far as feeling like we're back to normal. But I have to say that the end of the year has really shown that we're somewhat back to normal, and it's so nice to see a gathering of families and, parents supporting our staff and our students and really just participating. So thank you to the staff and for them to have open arms to that, and to really just make us feel like we're a part of the community too, because I think for some time families have felt somewhat isolated. We are not able to be a part of things, and it was just great to see that. And then I also attended a Wizard of Oz play at Schilling, and it's my understanding that this also happened at Lincoln. And I just, honestly, it was so great to see that, to see arts in our school. And my take from that was, the feedback was that there were a lot of students who participated in the play who were otherwise not very confident and were even shy and didn't speak up. And just to see the growth in those students is something to also celebrate. So I want to also thank, again, the staff for being welcoming to do, for providing events such as that. And then, of course, the family for supporting them, the students and the staff. So thank you so much. I look forward to next year.
For me, I just, no committee report at this point, but tomorrow night at high school graduation, you will be and I'm going to get emotional about it. It will be my last 6th grade class that I had in the district, and I really, really look forward to shaking your hands and congratulating you tomorrow. That class is very, very memorable to me, and I look forward to seeing you with smiles on your face. And giving you potentially a hug afterwards. Thank you. It's a big deal for me.
Yeah, it should be. It is.
So echoing my fellow board members, just want to thank all the students for all their hard work this year, and wishing you a well-deserved summer break, as well as all of the educators that made it happen. And so that's first and foremost. And then secondly, I just want to congratulate Dr. Pierce Davis for her extension, and looking forward to making the 23-24 year a great year. So thank you.
Yes, thank you. Well, I'd like to say amen to Fong Nguyen's remarks, as well as the remarks of the rest of you about the wonderful year we're exiting and looking forward to the next year. I do have a few requests. Sure. So one of them was, I mentioned earlier,
Oh, wait, sorry, Nancy, could I just, I'm
Oh,
so
yes, you
sorry.
may.
Yeah, I forgot to make the update about the committee. So I'm not sure of the exact date, but we do have an audit committee meeting. I think it's in a couple weeks. It should be out on the board calendar. But other than that, no updates, and sorry for the interruption.
No, that's fine. Yeah, my one request is two requests. Demographic report, if we can get a copy of that. And also, I'd like to see us because I was at the junior high today, and every time they said junior high, we're no longer a junior high, we're a middle school. So if we could prioritize renaming the junior high and go through that process.
Is that a request to put that on as an agenda item?
Actually,
To review the board policy and informational?
I think the board has been through it recently.
Oh, okay.
So I think if you get, learn about it and read about it, you'll see that we usually go, and we can all talk to you about
Sure.
it too. We go through a process of getting a community committee together.
Oh, okay, wonderful.
Okay, great. But we wouldn't want to start that until the beginning of the next year. Yeah. And then just, I have to say, I live about a block and a half down from Kennedy, and for their back-to-school night and also for this morning's promotional ceremony, I mean, I could hardly get to my house because of all the traffic and all the people. So it's so great to see all the parents and the community coming out to all these events that we've had this last month. It's kind of a nice time of year. Yeah. So next, superintendent.
Thank you. Well, I don't know what I could say that hasn't already been said. You are all so very eloquent. Just to reiterate, we're so very proud of our graduating class and all of our students who've promoted. You make us so very proud, and many thanks to everyone who's helped them along the way. And then also, I just want to remind the board that we have a board retreat coming up on June 21st from 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock. And do send me your items that you would like to have covered. We will, of course, be reviewing roles, responsibilities. We will set norms. We will draft board overarching goals for the district. And we will align everything that we do, our LCAP, all of our documents back to those goals, and we will set actual measurable targets and begin to talk about actions and the things that the board wants to see in this district. We are going to very much be an action research district. So I'm really excited about that work, and we will report out about the board retreat after we've had it, and so everybody knows, and we will go over all the goals and all of those things. And so if you want to send those to me, President Thomas and I will be meeting with the facilitator to discuss the day, and I really look forward to it. It has been an absolute pleasure thus far. You five are fabulous, and I want to thank you so much for all of your help so far. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Nguyen. And then Member Hill.
So can I make a motion to extend the meeting until 12 midnight? Would you support that, Member Fong?
Absolutely not. I just have a very quick shout out to our junior high PTSA parents, and Miss Nicole Izant in particular, who led the parents today and yesterday in organizing the ceremonial, all the ceremony decorations for their promotion today. And I think she got a huge compliment because our high school reached out and said, could you guys please leave? Would you mind leaving the plants and stuff up for graduation the day for tomorrow? And I thought that was great. So I know the parents have been tremendously involved, and I always like to thank Ms. Sarah Canales for also allowing us to reach out to the vendor, her vendor, to be able to get the stage skirt and things that we needed for the 8th grade promotion. So thank you so much for everyone collaborating, and special thanks to all the parents who have been helping out at all the sites for promotion and all the year-end activities. Again, in joint partnership, we can't do this without you, so thank you.
Thank you. Well, I have to say this is the second time in a row, and maybe it's third or fourth time when we haven't had to extend the meeting. So congratulations on an efficient meeting. I think we got everything done that we needed to get done. So. And it was LCAP
cap and budget.
Yeah,
I know, that's pretty impressive, actually.
yeah, thank you. And so without any further input, I would like to see a motion for adjournment.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Okay, Member Jones motions to adjourn. Member Plancarte seconds. Please vote.
I'll have to verbally say yes. I got too excited and I logged out.
And you what?
I logged out. I shut down my computer. So yes.
Thank you.
Vote
Votes
yes.
are in. Bye-bye.
Okay. Nice meeting. Nice meeting. Nice meeting.